From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode,
we're entering tax season. Shea gives you tips for handling it. Today's industry focus is on one of Northern Indiana's biggest industries, recreational vehicles. And we meet another winner of the Champions of Diversity Award.
Grow your business with Wish TV's featured business directory. For less than $200 a month, be one of the limited businesses in 30 different categories, benefiting from one of the top visited websites in Indiana and Indiana's only statewide news station. Space is limited. Contact us today.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Time to talk tax season. Very few people's favorite topics, but one that Shea knows well. He's the Chief Financial Officer of Circle City Broadcasting, of course, the parent company of Wish TV. Thank you for being with us. Is tax season fun for you? It seems to not be for most people.
Oh, fun. Not the relative word, right? Let's maybe put it in quotes. Fun.
Yeah.
Yes, that time is upon us, and there are lots of obligations for a business owner, certainly in the first few months of the new year, kind of putting a bow on the prior year. And chief among those are, W-2s for your employees, so that they can file their individual personal income taxes. Form 1099s, so those are basically a collection of the payments you've made to certain vendors during the year, and they will ask about those and certainly require those. And those are due by the end of January. Additionally, you have your property taxes, and those are often due sometime in May for the prior year. And then, finally, the business taxes, which then flow into, as a business owner, your personal taxes. So there are, there's lots of kind of tidying up that goes on in that period right after year end.
One thing we've learned from our contributors in the months that we've been doing this is that it is so hard to know in December or in January what's it's going to look like in December. You may start with no employees, move most of the year like that, and then all of a sudden you got people working for you, tax implications, things like that. As much as is possible, in other words, whatever the structure is at the moment in January, is it pretty important to get a jump on that right away so that you can handle the knowns so that whatever the unknowns are down the line, you can deal with them?
Yeah, of course. And so, and that's where I highly recommend involving third parties to assist you with some of these things. For instance, payroll, I will always kind of support bringing in, or whether it's a third party person or a payroll service. They're the ones who can prepare your W-2s, which that's just a big headache that you as a business owner probably don't want to entangle yourself with. Things like property tax returns really don't take that long to put together. And, if you have a business manager, even yourself, if you need to, you can probably put one of those together in a couple of hours. And I've found that in working with the agencies that require you to report that information, if you're upfront and communicative with them, they'll often help you and assist you in that process as well. But yes, I'm a firm believer in always, preparing ahead of time for contingencies down the road, certainly.
I don't ever want to, do the whole scared straight thing where it's like, well, do this or you'll have it. But unlike, say, a biscuit maker who can change his recipe however he or she wants to, or the sprocket maker who may change the diameter of something as they want to, the rules about taxes are pretty well set, and if you run afoul of those, you could really find yourself in some deep water, correct?
Yeah, and usually it's more out of just negligence and just ignoring something. Like I said, I found as long as you, communicate with those folks, they generally are there to help you. And they want to see and make sure you get paid up and get squared away as well. They're not out there to close down businesses. And so if you can be kind of proactive and initiating those conversations, a business owner should be just fine.
Hi, Shea. Good tax season to you. We wish you well, and we thank you as always for your insight and support.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Scott.
If you'd like to know more about the topic of taxes or need information about any of our segments, visit our website. It's BEOshow.com. Indiana is well known as the recreational vehicle capital of the world. Manufacturers say that factories in northern Indiana make up more than 80% of the RVs in the world. This week, our industry focus looks at the place where the customers then see and buy all those Indiana products.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Ken Eckstein is the owner of Mount Comfort RV in Greenfield. He's a 40-year veteran of the RV industry. He started his career washing trailers while he was still in high school.
The first RV show I set up was 1973. So this will be 50 years setting up RV shows in the West Pavilion. And back then, we were absolutely a niche market. We were, people would buy a $3,000 trailer so they wouldn't have to spend $29.95 to stay in a Holiday Inn. We are definitely mainstream now, and it's appealing to a much, much broader segment of the population than it ever has. And like you noted, in Indiana, I don't think people are starting to become aware of what we are, but 83% of the RVs produced in North America come from northern Indiana. And it's a huge employer. It's tens of billions of dollars that the industry generates. And again, all the jobs that come down the line. And like I said, in Elkhart, we build everything from tent campers up to the luxury diesel pushers. The history of the RV industry, when you look at it, the reason Elkhart became attractive is because that's where the suppliers were. So people would build close to where the suppliers are. So you've got a whole network of suppliers, little guys, little machine shops building fender wells and door handles. And then you got massive suppliers like Furrion that comes in and, builds a huge building with thousands of employees. And again, to supply the appliances and such. So yeah, it all trickles in. I've got a friend that says, we don't manufacture RVs, we assemble them. And there's some truth to that because you've got, furniture, appliances, everything that goes into a house goes into an RV. And when you look at a motorhome, everything that goes into a car goes into an RV. So you're marrying all those components together. Like, this is the luxury condominium on wheels, so it's got all the stuff in it. I mean, this has built-in washer and dryer, and TVs, hardwood cabinet. The bathroom's always the shower's impressive in this coach particularly. Their whole marketing thrust with this is take their $1 million motorhome and build a small version of it. Well, and to appreciate the fact that you've got a luxury condominium that you're taking down the road at 70 miles an hour. Put your house in a 1 hour earthquake, and that's what these do driving from here to Cincinnati. So it's pretty impressive. I'm in the RV business, so it's a roller coaster ride. But we've got friends down at the State House. We've got lobbyists that we work with. And I think, for years it has been an uphill battle working with those people. We felt like you were fighting them. In the last 10 years or so, there's absolutely a partnership between the government and the RV industry. And I think we're able to retain a lot of people and a lot of that industry in Indiana because it is a favorable work environment. The RV lifestyle makes sense from a standpoint of self-isolation, from quarantine, and that attracted a lot of people. And what happened, people get out there and they realize the family, the outdoors, and the things that the lifestyle absolutely offers. And I think, that's why we saw such an uptick in sales. At the same time, the supply side went down. I think it kind of created a feeding frenzy. But we're seeing a much younger demographic coming into the RV business. 50 years ago, our demographic was 55 years and older. Now, one of my manufacturers said in 2021, 38% of the first-time buyers were under 35. As the culture shifts, as we stop being the niche market and start going into mainstream, you see gas stations, you see restaurants, you see places that are a lot more accommodating to RVs. One of the things I got to smile at is you turn on the TV and you see a car commercial, it's pulling a fifth wheel. You see an insurance commercial and they're talking about RV insurance. That didn't happen 10 years ago. But now I think we are mainstream, and there are gas stations, restaurants, ironically even hotels that are becoming much more accommodating to RVs. For the last 25, 30 years, everything we've seen has been bigger, fancier, more. Let's put a slide out on, let's put 2 slide outs on. Why not put 3 slide outs on? We're 300 horsepower, why not go 400 horsepower? Let's go 600 horsepower. There's a backlash right now, which I'm going to call it the adventure RV, to people that want to get back to nature and get back to camping. And we're seeing a much simpler type RV, a much simpler build, and that again was a niche 5 years ago, and that niche is growing exponentially. It wouldn't surprise me if we see more of that coming down the road. I think electric RVs, I don't think the technology is there yet. There's manufacturers that are prototyping and experimenting on that, have been for several years now. But I don't know how soon that's in our future. But we're seeing a definite shift in the demographic. The younger demographic, that 35-year-old, is not afraid, of sleeping out without air conditioning. Now he has to have Bluetooth, but they don't have to have air conditioning. So it's a different demographic. We're seeing a different market, and I don't know where we're going to go from a technology standpoint. 2001. The RV population was about 12% of the people. If you went to a mall and said, do you ever want to own an RV? It was like 12%. That's over 22% now. So again, we've gone from a niche to mainstream. And again, when that younger demographic comes in, if they buy, a tent camper at 35, then maybe they buy a trailer at 40, maybe they buy their motorhome at 50, and maybe they buy a retirement fifth wheel at 60. So again, it's a huge opportunity for the RV industry, and again, that translates into a huge opportunity for Elkhart, which means a huge opportunity for Indiana.
For a few weeks now, our success stories have highlighted champions of diversity, winners of an award from Indianapolis Minority Business Magazine. We found this week's champion out at the airport.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
Holly Harrington is Senior Director of Supplier Diversity and Diversity Officer for the Indianapolis Airport Authority. She's also a Champion of Diversity winner.
I got here, I moved to Indiana in 1991 after graduating from Howard University, and I worked for Eli Lilly and Company as a mechanical engineer. So a lot of people don't know that I have a STEM background. But as part of a cross-functional assignment, it led me into HR and then procurement, where I got into supplier diversity. So on the HR side, I did EEO work, and then for people, and then I was asked to do diversity work for businesses. So that led me to the role I'm in now. I was as supplier diversity at the Indianapolis Airport, and then later became the diversity officer, which is a great culmination of all my experiences from, even engineering, as you're working with construction contractors, as well as having a good background in HR to help drive equity. And then you bring it all together and try to influence culture at the airport. I'm very excited, and I would say more so humbled, because I feel like I'm getting an award to do what I consider to be my passion. I grew up in inner city Detroit, and my parents instilled service as well as the rest of my family. My father was a pharmacist, so serving people. My mother was a teacher. I have uncles and a grandfather that were ministers, so all I know is giving back. And so to have a job that allows me to do that in the community as well as within the organization is an honor. And so for folks to call me a champion of diversity, one of my friends said before diversity was in, it was just in my being of trying to help others, be an advocate for others, be a voice for others. And I think that was because so many people did it for me. So I think you're kind of accountable to have to pay that forward. And again, it's a blessing for that to be my job. It's awesome when you can be a part of an organization that has similar values. So my personal values align to the values of the organization. So what we're trying to do is make sure the internal workforce feels valued. We really believe that people contribute and engage when they feel valued and respected. And that is right in line with our core values. And then when you flip that on the customer service side, when you're trying to attract people to come to your organization, you want them to feel like they belong, and you want that to be everybody. So when you're doing that from an internal perspective, our employees exude customer service and go out of their way when they see someone maybe struggling in some kind of way, because we all know what that feels like. And so I think by our own experience, we apply that to our work environment and move it forward. Specifically to the supplier diversity side, I don't sign a contract, so I like to give all the credit to my leadership team and then the individuals within the organizations that make decisions. They are intentional about being inclusive. So we make sure that we consider individuals, and sometimes it's still a win when they don't win the contract, because we're in a position where we can give them feedback on what they need to do moving forward so they're ready that next time around. So this year we have already spent over $24 million with disadvantaged minority and women and veteran-owned businesses, but work and influence others to make sure we consider the whole community. And what you wind up with is the individuals that are helping with all of our projects, be it construction, be it professional services, be it our concessions, reflect the community of Indianapolis. I always talk about potential versus progress. And while we've made progress, there's still an opportunity for a lot more potential. And I think it's very cyclical, and I say this about a lot of things, is that it's changing. So even though we've made progress in one area of diversity, there's going to be new facets. I mean, I talk to my kids about there were no cell phones when I grew up. You know, technology is really having a huge impact on what the future is going to look like. And so that implies people change, and what they need changes. So from a diversity standpoint, you know, you've heard a lot about the world is becoming more brown. And so we just have to learn what that looks like. But you have to take into consideration there are different shades of brown. All shades of brown are not the same. So it's continuing to evolve and even broaden, but we've got to make sure that we keep our eye on it and are working to understand everyone. And I like to say equity is meeting people where they are. So you should be able to be your authentic self and be able to do your best. And for individuals who have different experiences, we have to learn to lean in and be somewhat vulnerable and in order to learn, so that we're not forcing our ideas on other people. We need to really be working together. And you know, an old saying is 2 heads are better than one, and that becomes exponential. So the more we figure out how to work together, the better our community will be.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, BEOshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.